Welcome back to our channels, Warriors. We are still growing right there. We're right there. 10,000 subscribers. Make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. Now, this story right here, visiting, okay? Visiting inside a correctional setting, specifically the California Department of Corrections. What could possibly go wrong? Does anything go wrong? Visiting amongst the inmate population is considered a neutral area, meaning, hey, whatever beef is going out on the yards, out of respect for the families, which makes sense, we're not going to do no shenanigans up in the here, right? Up in this area. Visiting room looks like not like a doctor's waiting area, but there's chairs, there's tables, there's vending machines, there might even be some television sets. There might be some TVs, right? They might be playing kids' movies for the children, stuff like that, right? That's for the contact visits, meaning they can sit down, eat with their family members. Then there's the glass, there's the windows that you can see right there. There's like 4 windows, maybe 5. Like you see in the movies with the little phone right there. They put their hand, right? Their loved ones. That's called a non-contact visit, meaning that they're either in trouble, either they got their regular visiting privileges revoked, one of the two. I was a prison guard, man. High school diploma. Or they're in ADSEG, the Administrative Segregation Unit, the whole revoked. And so those are the 2 types of visits, right? Oh my goodness. And the conjugal visits, right? AKA the boneyard, where they can do overnight visits and they can bring food. They call it like the boneyard, right? Like, because you're there throughout the weekend and that's when you get to sleep with your visitor, right? If you're an inmate, you get to sleep with a visitor. If you're a visitor, you get to live and sleep with the inmate. Like a little, looks like a little project, right? If anybody grew up in the projects, that's what it looks like. Fenced in, little stove, stuff like that. For those, we got to give the inmates a urinalysis test prior to them going to their visit, their family visit, and afterwards, right? Ensure that they're not inhaling or consuming any controlled substances, drugs. With that being said, what are some of the things that I experienced in visiting? First and foremost, I did not like working visiting. As an officer, I did not like it. I did not like it in the slightest. I did not like it at all, right? As a lieutenant, it was cool. It was a good spot to have, man. I was straight posted. Your boy was posted, chilling. But as an officer, right, there was an officer one time. He did tell a female visitor, you know what, I'm going to make you my B. Oh, my God. Why he said this, I don't know. What he was thinking, I don't know. Didn't make any sense, right? I think the inmates ended up getting at the sergeant on that yard and said, you need to remove this dude ASAP before we do. Along those lines, right? They asked the officer, did you say this? Yes, I said this. Wow, slap on the hand. You're not allowed to work a public post around people anymore, right? Clearly your people skills are lacking in somewhere, okay? That's a true story. That one kind of caught me off guard early on in my career. Like, man, wow, woo, wild, right? There was another time I was going number 2, right, in the restroom. If you hear it on the radio, it's called a 10-200. I think we made that up on our own, right? Going poop in the back of the visiting room, right? Because there's a visiting area where the families meet. Then there's the back called the strip out area. And that's where the strip out officer will get the inmates from the yard, completely get them naked, strip them out, ensure they don't have anything. Once they go to their visit and they complete it, once again, strip them out. The whole thing, right? Open your mouth, lift up your tongue, run your fingers through your head, right? The whole thing. Lift up your sack, turn around, squat and cough. Lift up your feet, all of this, right? So, man, I'm going poop right there and the alarm goes off. So I'm like, what I thought had happened was because we have our personal alarm devices, that little box, and if you push that button, the whole sirens go off, right? So if you're getting attacked and you don't have time to help yourself or get on the radio, you just smash your button. The troops come. I swear to God, man, as soon as I dropped my trousers, that alarm went off. And thank God I almost picked up that radio. I almost picked up that radio and called false alarm, meaning, hey, I accidentally pushed the alarm. Thank God I didn't. Oh, man. So I could hear the back door open. I could hear the troops come in. They're running, they're running, they're running. Keys, right? Thank God I didn't call that false alarm. But when I go out there, the lieutenant, he was a cool lieutenant too, man, a white dude, Centinela. Somehow, some way, he got into it with an inmate in the visiting room. He got assaulted. He used force, and he was like on top of that inmate, right? And then the troops come like, hey, we got it, LT, we got it, right? Looking out for the lieutenant. Old dude shouldn't be, not that he was old, but you know, you got to look out for the lieutenant, man, you youngsters. That's only if the lieutenant's looking out for you. If he's not, then hey, right? So be it. So he's a good dude. So I'm like, man, thank God I did not call that false alarm because that would have called off the troops, right? This LT could have been fighting in the visiting room. I never really gathered what had transpired. I don't know. Maybe he saw something he didn't like and he went to go approach that individual and it kicked it off. I don't know, right? I was going poop. Number 2. The next one right here, right, and I'm just giving you scenarios, was an inmate from Brawley. What caught my attention was, you're probably thinking, man, this guy worked visiting a lot. Nah, when I was coverage relief, they would plug me in visiting on the weekends. I didn't like that. Meaning when I bounced around, I would call, were you working visiting? Well, the good thing is I got to sleep in a couple extra hours. But the thing that caught my attention was the female driver's license. It said Brawley. So I'm like, well, this is weird. Because most inmates were from LA, San Diego, IE, OC, right? I told you this. They rolled deep. It was the female cousin, the male inmate, and the old grandpa. Those 3. I'm sitting at the podium, minding my own P's and Q's. I kind of was a crime fighter at that time. Like I said, I came in young, I came in motivated, right? I got a badge on my shirt. I'm here to uphold the law. So I'm watching this, right? I see the cousin and the inmate walk outside to the patio area. I haven't mentioned the patio area yet. So you got your visiting room, you got your strip out in the back. Towards the outside door, you have a patio area. It's a door that leads to the outside. There's also benches out there, right? And like, you get the outdoors, right? You get the weather. Oh, it was 115. Anybody that's been to Centinela, Calipat, Ironwood, Chuckawalla can tell you, it gets like 117. It gets hot. So as I look out the window, I see both of those individuals look at me and act weird. So I'm like, here we go, man. Here we go. They go to the table. What they did was they handed each other a bag, a Cheeto bag. They sit at the table. And then they saw that I saw, right? So then now they're just acting funny. Now they're just acting weird and making it obvious. They're just pushing a bag of Cheetos across the table at each other. They're just like out of nervousness, right? Like a nervous twitch of some sort. So at that time, it was a female partner. She was in ISU. She had just gotten off of her like 2 o'clock shift or something and got like a 2-hour partial right there in visiting with me. So she had just showed up and I'm like, hey, there's something in that bag right there, right? Because I'm watching them. I said, what I want you to do is I'm going to go gaffle the dude up and you go get the bag. All right, and then call me in the back on the phone, because we have phones in the back, and let me know what you find in the bag. She's like, oh, okay, right? So I get up, right? And one thing I would do is like a tactic that I would do, man. Very effective tactic. I would get up. I would walk behind the inmate, and I would put my hand on their shoulder, their trap. I would put my hand on their trap with a firm squeeze, like a squeeze like, hey, I'm here. Right, like I'm here, like you can do whatever you want. That's cool, whatever. But like, hey, know that I'm here. So I'll be like, hey, get up. 99.9% of the time, they knew what time it was. They would just get up, put your hands behind your back. Right? I always wanted to put people in handcuffs. Ron Davis, this is why we put people in handcuffs. To prevent any injuries to anybody. Family members, ourselves, the inmate. The dude complied, thank God. Take him to the back, right? Because we never know. We don't know if they're going to comply or not. The threat is always there. Take him to the back. I get the phone call immediately. Hey, there's something in the bag. There's 2 bindles. Big old giant bindles. Heroin, right? Brown. So the dude, he was kind of like a G. He really didn't say much. He didn't say anything. He's like, he was a youngster too. He's probably younger than me at that time. And at that time, I was probably 23, right? I had probably had like 1.5 years in the department, 2 years. Told you I was a go-getter. Centinela, right? So, yeah, they get the dope. We call the sergeant. Man, this is what left a bad taste in my mouth. So I guess you could say it kind of happened early on in my career. Called the sergeant, and they let the girl go. They let the girl go home. And I'm like, hey, Sarge, like, what up? The inmate went to the hole. AdSeg, right? And he's like, oh, well, did you get the whole interaction on camera? And I'm like, no, but I saw them. I saw them do the exchange. He's like, well, your word is no good. Your word's not going to hold up in the court of law. Something to that. And I'm like, hey, but we're peace officers. And he's like, nah. I think, in my humble opinion, I think that sergeant didn't want to do that work. The work of booking that person in jail. Because, like, it was there. It was there, right? The dude got caught. They got caught. Anyways, I get off work. Not really feeling accomplished. I mean, it was like whatever. The whole situation was kind of like whatever, right? But I was a little upset that they let the girl go home. I was new and I didn't understand. I didn't understand the department. I didn't understand certain supervisors, right? So I go get myself some Chinese food. Lo and behold, the female visitor that brought in the dope for that inmate was working. She handed me the food. She looked at me. I looked at her. It was so awkward, so weird. Thank God she didn't have like time to spit in my food or nothing because it was already packed and bagged and ready to go. She had no clue it was me. I had no clue it was her. That was that situation. Now this story right here, that was Charlie visiting. I was working Alpha visiting, right? Strip out. There was this like tall, skinny black dude, right? Looked like Snoop Dogg. The way his braids were. Look, the homie looked like Snoop Dogg, right? So he was an OG too. He was an OG. I'm in the back stripping him out. Dude was going back to the yard, back to A yard. And I rarely, ever, like when I did a strip out, man, and I had him bend over and cough, like I wasn't enthusiastic about that. I wasn't excited, clearly not, but like I never really looked. You can miss me with that. You know what I mean? I didn't want to. That wasn't my get down. Why would I? But this dude bends over, coughs, spreads his cheeks. The fact that the dude was black, right? He had a white condom tied in a balloon knot sticking out of his ass. And I could clearly see that. I could see that and I'm like, what the fuck? Again, I pull out my baton, right? Because in these moments when dudes get caught, they can either fight or flight or just comply, right? It's just I've seen all three. I've seen dudes fight for their stuff. I've seen dudes take off running, and I've dealt with dudes that just simply comply, right? So these are all possibilities. I pull out my baton. I said, hey, what the fuck is that? And he's like, oh, it's toilet paper. It's toilet paper. I'm like, that's not toilet paper, dude. Put your hands behind your back. Again, Ron Davis, Associate Director, this is why we put inmates in handcuffs. Wow, Jesus, is this so hard to figure out? So I put the dude in handcuffs. Good, now the threat is removed, right? Get your boxers on, homie. I ain't trying to see everything. I say, what is that, man? Oh, nothing. I had already stripped him out. I put him in the holding. I put him in one of those non-contact rooms. and I kind of cleared out there was no visitors to be able to see this man in there, right? I'm smarter than that. So call the sergeant. Hey, this is what I got, Sarge. He comes on down. He had a sock. He had socks on. I strip him out inside of the non-contact room, and I say, "Where? Give me it." He's like, "I don't have it." Give me it. I don't have it. It's like, "Hey, dude, quit playing." We talk to the sergeant. We tell the sergeant. Sergeant says, "Hey, man, if it's tobacco, don't trip. If it's tobacco, you'll go back to the yard. Okay, you just get your little write-up. It's nothing. But if it's dope, we gotta book you. You know, you gotta go to the hole." He understood that, and he's like, "It's tobacco." I said, "All right, well, give me it." And he's like, "I don't have it. It's over there." And I like look behind me. Oh man, these dudes are like Houdini. I swear, man. I swear. I wrote it in my book. He somehow, some way, I don't know how, I don't know what this dude did, was able to get that tobacco, that bindle out of his butt, and somehow, I don't know how this dude did it, right? So boom, that was that, right? So there's just a couple stories about working visiting. Their stuff does happen, right? Now, this is a crazy story, and I only have told you stories that I've been participant in. And just me reflecting back on my career, man. There was an end of a visit, right? At the end of visiting, all the staff members go to the staff entrance area. That's where the inmates' families get initially processed through, right? Because there's different phases of the process, the in processing. We do a debriefing there with the sergeant, with the lieutenant, right, or the officer then. We turn in our gear, our cameras that takes pictures of the inmates, holding their loved ones and stuff like that, right? Hey, what this and that. Well, on this day, man, I was a young cop. This actually happened. This actually happened. I was right there. An officer was suffering a medical emergency, right? And this is sad. So you hear it. You hear the commotion. You can see the commotion because it was happening in the sergeant's office, like right there in the officer's processing office. There was an office right there, and they said, "Oh, so and so is suffering a seizure, So I'm like, man, like it got like chaotic in there, right? And the sergeant kind of told everybody, "Hey, take off, have a good day." Like, hey, clear the area because it's kicking off now. I go home, didn't think much of it. It was in my mind. Come back, find out that officer passed away. Found out that officer was in fact having a heart attack right there on the spot. Passed away. Man, it's just, things that I'm sharing with you, things that like you guys never seen this side. This is all stuff that has happened from my perspective. And I'm just one dude, right? There's 33 prisons in the state of California. So just imagine, man. Just imagine what we kind of go through on our side. All right? That's the message for today. Keep an open mind. If you can't help them, don't hurt them. Keep pushing forward.